What is up, Cole? I appreciate you taking the time to speak with me today, man. Doing these client spotlight interviews. You're obviously somebody that's been with us for, you just wrapped up, man, but it was a little over 6 months in total. And I remember our very first conversation together. And it's awesome to see your progression through this program. So super happy to be chatting with you. And I know you very well because for the people that are watching this, like I worked directly with Cole. He was back when me, Jack, and Gabe were kind of doing our own thing independently with people. So I got to be very, very hands-on with Mr. Cole, and he's somebody that I consider a friend as well. So
Yeah.
it's been awesome getting to know you, man. And I would love for you to kind of just introduce yourself to the people a little bit more, because obviously they don't know you as well as I do. So can you tell them a little bit about like what you do for work and who you are just as a person? Like, who is Cole Spittler?
Yeah. So I'm 23. I live in Madison, Wisconsin. Grew up in the area around here and went to UW-Madison. I work at a startup that's based out of Chicago. I work remotely with them and in the sales department. So I was actually the first full-time sales hire that they made back last September, a few months after I graduated, and have been with them through the early growth stages here, and been progressing my way through the company too as we grow. So it's been an awesome opportunity out of school. Some other priorities of mine are my faith, my fiance, who I got engaged to working with the Default Kings here, and I'm a pretty big sports fan too, all things Wisconsin. So Packers, the Bucks won the championship a couple years ago, and then Wisconsin University sports too.
There you go, bro. Man, you're already teasing some of the big wins that you had in the program, man. You're already talking about the fiance. You're teasing them already, bro. We're just getting
I'll wait on it.
we're just getting into it. He's already
Yeah,
talking.
and funny enough, I actually found Joey on TikTok. Not his TikTok though. There was some
Oh, I
uh,
remember that. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, some fitness influencer girl. I forget her name, but she came up on my For You page and was going through one of his threads that was like 30 something things that like my $100,000 exercise science degree didn't teach me, or like that will teach me more than that degree, I think it was. And so she went through it and she's like, yeah, this guy's got it. I was like, I don't know. I like the way you just wrote it out. Like it was cool. So I went to Twitter, followed you for about a week or so. And I think you posted something about looking for people to work with. So I was like, I want to talk to this guy.
Hell yeah, bro. I need to give her like affiliate commission or something. I gotta get her set up with an affiliate link. She's hooking me up, man. I think another guy we work with as well. I don't know if you remember John. John said the exact same thing. He said that TikTok that she put out on one of my threads went mega, and he saw it and he
Yeah.
followed me. And literally, he said the exact same thing happened to him that happened to you. So that's hilarious, man. It's funny because I remember when that thread went out, I was like, holy crap, this is going crazy. And then people were sending me
Yeah.
TikToks. I was like, there we go, bro. So that's cool. It's awesome.
Do you know who it is?
I don't know who she is. I really don't. I remember I had a few people send it to me though. They're like, dude, you came up in my For You page. And I was like, really? And they sent it to me and it was my thread. I'm like, oh shit, somebody's breaking down my thread. Let's go. So it was pretty cool, man. It's pretty cool. And it's cool that I got a few of you guys to come this way and kind of have the opportunity to work with us as a result of that. Because ultimately that's why we do it, right? And that's
Yeah.
why we information with the world. And like, tell me a little bit about what life looked like before you were in the program and before you did start working with us.
Yeah. So before I started working, as in just like kind of years before, or
Kind of all
um,
leading up to it, yeah. As much as you want to.
yeah, yeah. So I got the opportunity to go play volleyball collegiately, which I did for a few years at a small NAI school, and then transferred to UW Madison for my last couple of years to finish up my degree. So fitness and being athletic was really important in my life in high school, early college. But once my competitive days ended, I did not keep up with any routines, and slowly put on a lot of weight over the course of a few years, and then struggled at any attempt to get back in shape. And so I started working at my new job, like I said, out of college, and had been there about 6 months or so, 8 months when I started Default Kings. And so it's cool to kind of see everything come together because I saw the most success I had ever at my job once I had started, got fit again, and like I mentioned before, got engaged to my fiance now.
There you go, man. That's a big one.
So yeah, I definitely saw a lot of wins and saw my life start heading in the direction I was hoping.
Awesome, man. I'm proud of you, bro. I'm proud of you because we tell everybody you guys are ultimately the ones that execute, man. We give you the
Yeah,
tools. You guys are the ones that do it. So I'm proud of you, man, because you took a lot of action. And I know that's not an easy thing to do with any kind of program like this. And so I'm proud of you, man, because you ultimately had to put in the work and you had to make it happen. So again, man, I'm proud of you. I appreciate you being somebody that's willing to learn and take the advice and apply it. That's awesome. It speaks a lot to your character as well. And, like what specifically were you trying to change when you joined us? Like what was the specific thing top of mind for you that you wanted to change?
yeah. At first, I think it was just to get fit, and that was my reason for initially reaching out to you. But when within our first few calls and the activities you gave me, kind of thinking about identities, powerless, all these things, I think I realized it was a lot deeper than that, and there's a lot more. Um, the kind of three biggest reasons in order for my that I realized I wanted to get fit, because at first it was just like almost out of pride, and wanting to look good. But and while those things are still somewhat important, top three for sure were my relationship with God, and my faith, um, my relationship with my girlfriend at the time, who I saw becoming a fiance, and envisioning fatherhood within a few years. And then three, career wise too. Like when I think of successful people career wise, usually I think of fit people as well. And there's usually a connection there. Like people who have their lives dialed in one area are usually good in another as well. Um, and so I was doing well in my job, but so that wasn't the biggest thing. But I knew my faith could use some work at that point, and so I envisioned all these things coming together, which they started to, which was awesome.
Awesome, man. That's awesome. I think that's kind of the mindset that a lot of guys have coming in is like obviously priorities fitness, and they start to see it bleed over into
Yeah,
relationships and career as well. Right? I think it's a very common theme that we see come through here. And like, what did you try before when it came to making those changes to your health, to your fitness, relationships, faith, career? Like, what did you try before coming into here and working with us?
yeah. I mean, it would usually start with like an OMG moment from stepping on the scale. There's one in particular I remember last November, about a year ago, and that would usually result then in like 2 weeks of heavy training and excessive dieting to a point which I can't believe I was dumb enough to think it'd be sustainable. Looking back at it now, and then dumb enough to try doing that another time, and probably a third time as well.
You're
So,
not the only one, bro. You're not the only one. Don't feel dumb. You're not the only one.
no, yeah. So and kind of realizing over the time too, and I think it was more once I joined the program, realizing a lot of the hypocrisy and lies in just the health guidance we're given, and the things a lot of people follow, the different diets and stuff like that, and the pillars of fitness, just the general advice out there. So I just was, yeah, misguided, and found consistency here and sustainability, which was the biggest thing for my fitness.
Yeah, that's awesome. As I say, it sounds like that was probably like the main frustration point, right? Was the misguidance and everything that you hear. Would you say that was probably like the most frustrating part of it was just all the misguidance and all the different information that you see out there and all the different directions it was pointing you in?
Yeah, it was that became a bigger frustration later on because I didn't realize it at the time. Like
Yeah.
I would just go into it, without thinking,
Yeah.
whatever it might be, like trying to eat only beef for a week,
Yeah.
or just like eating nothing. Like I think I saw some like 1,200 calorie diet out there online. Um, some just stuff that doesn't work. And you see a lot of people try and get into, um, which became more frustrating once I got on the right, fitness track, and saw longer term results. Just looking back now and like seeing what people actually kind of fall for is frustrating. Is the frustrating part about it. Yeah.
Oh, tell me about it. Tell me about it, man. You're preaching to the
Yeah.
choir. You're preaching to the choir, man. There's so much out there. And it's a common struggle point for a lot of people because there's so much information. It's so hard to sift through that sometimes it's crippling. It's,
Yeah.
it's almost too much information. And what's
Yeah.
funny is sometimes it's gonna be right if you just picked one thing, but there's just so much. There's
Yeah.
just and again, I think it's a very common struggle point that a lot of guys have. And for you, like what were the main drivers that led you to finally making the change and taking action for your life specifically?
I think those three things I mentioned before. So like realizing that honoring my body would be honoring God, um, that it would improve me spiritually too, just the energy I would have, the focus I would have, and knowing that those things would carry over to my relationships and career too. Um, and kind of a side point uh, that's related to this and sort of related to your last question as well. Something else that I got frustrated with, and call me a conspiracy theorist, but I honestly think like that the elites of our world want men to be weak vegans and like just because I think, and not necessarily saying veganism is bad, but like that I guess they want people to be like weak and controllable. And I think that's big reason for, I mean, it kind of like even looking back to like the food pyramid and what the food pyramid says, like in that we're taught from a young age, like it almost feels like the bad fitness advice is intentional. It's not just accidental and feels part of an agenda almost. Now, again, it could be conspiracy, but I think evidence points that way. So it made me want to push hard in the opposite direction.
Hey man, you're talking to the right guy when it comes to health conspiracy theories, man. I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
Right there with you. I know you and I have bonded over that topic a lot before because it really does seem like everything's upside down. It almost seems so upside down that it
Right.
does intentional. We try to look at it objectively and we still come back to this can't be right. This has to be intentional, even when we look at it objectively as possible. So
Yeah.
you're talking to the right guy when it comes to health conspiracy theorists and things along those lines. Is
Yeah.
like, what do they want? They want people controllable, weak, right?
Right. And then
So
you start thinking about too how like big pharma is tied in,
oh
and,
yeah.
and everybody gets how everybody's medicated and not like using just natural sources to achieve health in all ways. I think everything on this earth has been like everything we need has been provided for us on this earth. So yeah.
Well, I got the big question for you now, right? The question everybody's waiting for. You teased everybody at the beginning, man. But what results did you achieve here, man? What were the results, the tangible things that happened in your life? And really, obviously, I want to talk about your weight loss because I know it was incredibly impressive and people are going to be amazed by the numbers when they hear them. But like, what other areas of your life improved on top of that? Because that's the big result, right? The weight loss. Obviously, we got the weight loss,
Yeah.
body transformation. So tell everybody a little bit about that. And then also what areas outside of your life improved and like by how much did they improve?
Yeah. So I think a total within the 6 months of about 40 pounds of weight loss, 35 to 40. I can't remember exactly where I was when I wrapped up at the end of November, but so about 25 of that in the first 12 weeks. So steady rate, about 2 pounds per week. And then it slowed a little bit over the remaining 12, which was okay at that point. Like I didn't have a ton more to lose necessarily. And I think at the same time, which was really cool, is probably getting like across all my lifts, like 10 to 20% stronger in that time period as well. On my key movements at least, and then on some ancillary ones, even more, like 20 to 30% stronger. So that was really cool too.
Awesome, man. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, professionally, I hit my two biggest sales months I think 2 out of the first 3 months I was in the program, uh, which was really cool. And um, yeah, so set some records at our company, and
Oh, bro.
personally, just and something that was in my mind to tease there a little bit, getting, proposing to my fiance,
There you
and
go.
I typically, because like again, it was something that I was planning to do. I wanted to get done over the summer, but I had already reached almost midsummer and hadn't done it yet. I remember being on a group call with the other kings, and um, you guys were talking about taking action. And somebody's like, and I think Jack might have proposed, like, what's something that one person needs to take action on? I remember speaking up. I'm like, I got to do this.
I
It's
remember it.
it's overdue, and that almost served as like a social commitment as well. Because I'm like, no, what am I gonna do in like a month if I haven't engaged, or I haven't at least tried. um, so yeah, I mean, the social commitment was powerful. It was powerful for weight loss, and it was a smaller one for getting engaged, but it helped for sure.
Yeah, man. I remember the group call you're talking about. I remember because Gabe, it was right after Gabe proposed, right? We were talking about how powerful that is and how powerful social commitment was. And when Jack asked that question, what's one thing somebody needs to do after this call? I remember you unmuting yourself and speaking up and saying it, and then everybody starts clapping. I was like, I remember
Yeah.
it so clearly. I remember it so clearly. It was an awesome moment. It was definitely a highlight reel moment with our group calls and with the group coaching. And I'm curious to hear your perspective on like, why do you think those other areas of your life improved after getting the fitness together? Like, why do you think they improved as well?
Because I think they were, I don't know, they were like, I think your guys' program honestly is as much about those other things as it is fitness. Like when you originally asked us to consider the identities we had, the identities we wanted, and the default actions that were resulting of that. Um, just doing that exercise made me think about and list out the different things in my life that I wanted to change. And so they all followed. I mean, I think so. I think it was more a result of that than it was of getting fit. Though getting fit did help me have confidence to do things like propose, to feel like I was ready for it in a sense, which may or may not have been true, but it definitely helped. I think there's got to be some connection, even though my sales job is remote, so I'm not actually looking at people face to face. There's probably a link to at least the energy levels I had when talking on the phone to customers and seeing success, but maybe confidence too. Who knows how much it's tied in? But so yeah, it was cool to see all that line up.
That's awesome, bro. That's awesome. And like, what do you think the overall impact of working with us was?
Um, I think it was I think it's the identities and the actions, honestly, and then setting those up for life. I don't think that's an exaggeration. Fitness wise, I view myself as a fit guy. I might not be the most ripped guy when I go into the gym, but I'm gonna walk around like I am, and I think that's just gonna affect everything that I do in my life, and it almost feels like unbreakable in a sense. Um, and so I think yeah, I mean, I know it goes back to kind of day one, and it might make it seem like I didn't need to work with you guys after going through that exercise, but I think just um, realizing that, like looking for deeper motivations for the transformation I wanted, and just applying it to other areas of my life. I don't see that stopping. Kind of getting in that headspace, that mindset.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome, man. It sounds like a big benefit that this had for you in your life was like that confidence, right? You're like, now I'm going to walk in the gym and I am going to act like I am, right? It sounds like confidence was one of the big benefits you had. Was there any other benefits that like stick out in your mind that you gained from going through this?
Yeah, like I think mental discipline really came through. Physical discipline to get in the gym, but that wasn't that hard because I wasn't like, I never like didn't enjoy working out. But like mentally to like stay on track diet wise, that at least like the first few weeks or maybe couple months, getting used to changing those habits. And then um, like mentally, I guess kind of in discipline wise, meaning like, I guess consistently like um, considering things like identities, thinking about things that I want to change in my life, and staying on the self improvement train. So I think takes a lot of it. So that's definitely a huge one.
Yeah, that's huge. And how much do you think that mental discipline and that fortitude, like how much do you expect that to help you in the next, say, 12 months or even 36 months? How much do you expect that to help you out going forward without us?
Immensely, honestly. Yeah. Um, it can be applied to all areas of my life. With my faith, I think being a Christian requires a good amount of it. It requires, uh, living different than your peers, and making different choices that aren't always the easiest ones. And a lot of times, it's making choices that like are going to be harder in the moment, but are going to produce greater rewards, deeper rewards later on. Sacrificing a lot of your short-term pleasures for long-term things, even as simple as just joyfulness. And so being able, and I think that being able to do that takes mental discipline. It takes a little bit of toughness to do it in that moment. So uh, as long as I stay, and I do think like I don't see anything pulling me out of that headspace. But as long as I do stay in that headspace and in that mindset, I think I'll continue to see the growth I'm looking for.
I think so too, man, because I know how strongly you've rooted those identities, and that's the first thing that we have you guys do when we come in here. I know you've spoken on very highly of them through this whole interview, and I think again you have them in such a good place that I don't ever see you getting out of that headspace either, because you have them
Yeah,
deep rooted, and you understand what you value in life, and you understand what those identities are, and it's going to serve you ultimately in every domain of life going forward, not just your fitness. So I'm excited for you, man. I'm excited for you, man, and like what was the deciding factor for you that made you decide to work with us?
um, I think with the connection over social media. I mean, I was really drawn to your content and your like the mindset. Like, I think we're in similar places in life, age wise, faith wise. Like, I'm not sure if you were a Christian forever, but I didn't find it until I was like halfway through college. And I guess like it seemed like a community I wanted to be a part of more like-minded individuals. And if you have a question later, what's my biggest regret? It's going to be not taking the time to connect more with people who are within it. But the other kings. But I think that, and I know there's, I guess with like the price tag of the program, it wasn't for me. It meant I had to be committing to something in a sense.
Yeah.
And so for it to pay off, like it wasn't going to pay off if I was going to work out for 2 weeks, diet for 2 weeks, and then stop.
Right.
It'd be the biggest waste of money ever. And so that that made me commit to it. And at the start, and then I found like the information that I learned was valuable and worth it as well.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. I'm glad to hear it, brother. I'm glad to hear it. My final question that I got for you today is how likely are you to recommend Default Kings, and why should somebody that's listening to this right now, why should they act? Why should they join us?
10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. Anytime you need a testimony, I'll be there. Why should they? Because why wait? Life is short. You never know when a day is going to be your last. And I mean, taking action now, like I think will keep you from regret later on. One of the most powerful quotes I've heard is, and I'm not going word for word here, but it's along the lines of like the, taking action, and whatever that results in, like success or failure is going to be always going to be better than not, and then looking back and regret that you didn't.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think why wait?
Why wait? Why wait? Wise words, Mr. Cole Spittler. Cole, I appreciate you coming on and sharing your
Thank,
story with everybody, brother. It's always great talking with you. Again, you're somebody I consider not only a client, but a great friend. So I appreciate you taking the time today, man. It's been a pleasure.
thank you, Joey. Let's keep in touch.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate you, brother.
All right.